Yeah, so welcome back to the channel. I'm currently out here just taking a walk at the minute because it's sunny, and it hasn't been sunny for the past probably like 6 to 8 months in the UK, so it's the first day of sun and just getting some vitamin D. But I haven't been on the vlogs for a long while now, and there's a good reason for that, and there's a lot been going on behind the scenes that I haven't shown. Obviously you only see a glimpse of what it's like on socials and stuff, but it's been very stressful, and at times I didn't know whether I'm going to keep the business or sell it or what's going to happen. So at the minute we're still very much in the thick of it, and I'm not sure where it's going to go, but I'll explain in the later part of the video about what's gone on, what's happened, and essentially what's kind of put me in this situation.
Around deck, it was super helpful, and
It just helps you understand obviously the brand and the journey and what we've done so far.
you have very high MOQs. What's the story?
The MRQ is 100 pieces per style per colour. Right, okay.
Generally, put a bit longer, but for something like this, I think 3 months should be fine.
Yeah.
You send me the PNL also, and I get back to you with an evaluation as soon as those two are signed.
Right.
From there, we'll take it.
No worries, that sounds good. I appreciate that. Thanks for jumping on the call, and I'll get that to you as soon as I can. So essentially last year some money was lent from the business, and it was around sort of February time, like 2023. So it was well over a year now, and it was to a friend's business who I knew quite well, and well, I obviously thought I knew him quite well. He mentioned about a development that was starting a while back. It was to build like a few new builds on a new plot of land. Yeah, he was looking to essentially raise some funds, and asked me to share the development plot and see if anyone in my network could maybe like wanting to invest and stuff like that. I'd known him for a while, so it's not like it's just any random person. Like, I'd only share stuff if I thought I knew they had good intentions. They may have had good intentions from the start, but I think that quickly turned around. Anyway, he'd messaged me a few weeks later on asking for some funds. So he had some refinance that was coming in. There's like certain stages in like new builds where you can sort of refinance certain stages, or you can pull capital. I'm not too sure on it, I'm not an expert, but you can basically get more capital once a certain stage of the build is complete. Yeah, he supposedly had this other finance in place that was coming in the past next 4 weeks or something like that. So the original agreement was for, let's say, about 4 to 5 weeks for the short-term loan, and then it started off as a small amount and turned into quite a large amount. So I was very reluctant at the start, and I wouldn't do it unless there was obviously guarantees in place and contracts and stuff like that. Otherwise it would just be stupid and silly of me. So he was going to do the contracts anyway, and they were putting his personal name and the company name, and they were also guaranteed there's like a collateral on another property that he supposedly owned. I checked over with him many times about this, and I said I've got my summer stock on the way in literally 4-5 weeks, and I paid the initial sort of 40%, 60% needed repaying on that date for obviously to commit in time. This was like, I think this was like around March time. Yeah, so the due date comes and essentially no money has been paid back, and tells me that he has sent it, and he shows me proof of that screenshot of the money leaving his account, and he says it'll be in my account within say 1 to 2, 3 days, something like that. It apparently sent as a chaps payment, so that was another one of his tricks, should I say. Yeah, after being told the money would be in my account within a few days, I obviously waited those few days and nothing came in, so I was naturally messaging him, trying to ring him. Yeah, so I asked him for obviously proof of the payment, and he sends me a screenshot of the bank, and it's basically saying the payment's come out. What I didn't know at the time was you can actually edit the on-screen of the bank. You can go into like inspect, or there's something on Google that you can obviously do. He obviously pulled one of these tricks where you can show on the account that it's been sent. You can do some quick editing, it doesn't take much, but I obviously didn't know this at the time. And it was basically like fluffing that he's obviously sent the money and nothing had been received in my account, expecting me to just go along with it. Anyway, we're going back and forth for the next few days. It tells me that that chap's payment has been cancelled and that there's been a problem with his account. So this goes on for many weeks, and we try and get him to go to the bank, see what the problem is. He comes back with a load of excuses and stuff to why the money hasn't been sent. He's obviously sent me screenshots of that and the conversations he's had with customer support, and he's obviously left out a load of details. And I used to get pictures of him in the bank, so basically saying that he's at the bank, he's trying to sort it. Stuff had been photoshopped, and he could edit some stuff. He was very sort of clued up on doing this, so he's obviously done it to many people before, or leading people on before. Yeah, just showing fake screenshots of the accounts, what money is in the account and stuff like that. So supposedly there was problems with his account, and he could no longer send money from that account. So we then went through another account that he had, and we tried to get it sent through that account, and just nothing was obviously working, supposedly working. And at the end, a few weeks go by, I'm trying to sort all these problems, and he's just lying about everything, and he's obviously leading me on, trying to buy time. So obviously try and get someone else's money to then pay someone else back. Yeah, we went through a load of different accounts with him, and I tried to get him to send like £1 at some sort of stage, just to see if obviously the account's probably still working and stuff. But there was loads of excuses, and this went on for ages, like led on for months at this point. And I'd say another month or so goes by, and obviously I'm very suspicious at this point, having not received any money. Yeah, I'd ask him to send videos of the banking and just videos of the transfers, where he'd go on, obviously press sort of the drop down, it shows the transfer to my account. I'd been edited, and I didn't know at the time, but playing the game very well, and he's obviously done this before to some other people, and supposedly restrictions on his account which wouldn't let him transfer the money. And I'll be on to calls with him daily, following up with him from morning till night, every day. I'd have to ring him like five or six times to try and get through to him. At that point he'd answer, and then there'd be some other excuse, and it'd lead me on to another date in the future. Like, I was always just kept waiting and waiting. He obviously didn't have the funds, and he was say is robbing Peter to pay Paul, so trying to get more money in whilst trying to pay other people off, that he's obviously done that. Yeah, anyway, many months go on, and I'm getting really annoyed, and my summer stock is due for payment, and that's now a few months late. We're not going to get it in time for summer. Yeah, at the same time this is going on, I've invested far more than I should have, and relying on him to get this money back in time so I can continue running my business. To top it off, at the same time as this was going on, not much cash in the bank, and relying on him to pay that money back. I never should have lent that amount, and there was a little bit more, then there was a little bit more, then yeah. So at this time I was basically scrimping around, trying to obviously continue running the business with whatever stock we had left and whatever cash flow we had. And to top it off, we got hit by a legal case by a big brand, and the timing on this was, you couldn't have had it at a worse timing. Like, this was the lowest point obviously in the business, that I had hardly any cash because it was all tied up with this. You may sort of know who I'm talking about if they was under the spotlight a few years ago because of a if you know which brand I'm talking about. But essentially came after us. I think they were going after a lot of brands at the time, like smaller brands. I bet they took so much losses during that time because of obviously that sort of situation that was going on with their brand, going to smaller brands. If they thought they had a chance, then they would go after them and try and go after them for basically everything they've got. So I was hit with this at the time, obviously, where I had no money to fight it. Put on to some solicitors who helped me out with the case, but we managed to agree a settlement, and it was everything that I had at the time, although it wasn't much money. It was still a lot because I needed that cash flow. It was just a really sort of bad time for me. I was mentally sort of not there. Setting up an agreement, can't obviously say about any of the details. I'm probably risking it saying it on here, but silence you, so you couldn't speak out on any of this. So it's just another way that obviously the big brands can target the little brands and sort of leave them without a voice and take them for whatever money they've got. So that was another hit that I didn't mean at this time, and yeah, it caused a lot of damage. I was trying to come up with the money for the factory payments and supplier payments and just previous fundings and stuff like that we needed to obviously pay like every month, like because these loans are on short-term basis. That was one of the things that really screwed me over, was because the revenue dropped, obviously the expenses are still going to be there, they're still going to be high, and if there's only a certain amount of time you can obviously carry that on. And throughout that process our credit was damaged because we couldn't keep up with the payments, and I tried for months and months and months to try and borrow some money, get some more funding to get us out of the situation, but no one would fund us. I went to I'd say about 30 different lenders. No one would even touch me because of the credit rating. Like so many other sort of knock-on effects from that one incident. Yeah, so back onto the story. There was about 12 or 15 people that was playing along within that time frame. So it wasn't just me, like this narrative was going out to many other different people. And I had to sell a car as well, the R8, which obviously I wanted to keep that car. It was my dream car and everything, but it was just a materialistic item, and just, yeah, suddenly one day I just needed to come up with some funds, so I went to We Buy Any Car and just sold it within basically a few days, and the cash was given probably a week later. There's some outstanding finance left on it and stuff like that, but yeah, I got a bit of money back from that, and that went straight back into the business to pay off some suppliers and keep us running. So from selling the car and doing a few other bits, I managed to get some money together to pay the existing collection, the summer stuff. This then came in around mid-November, early to mid-November. So just before our Black Friday period, and it's summer stuff, like t-shirts, shorts, and it just was a tough sell from the get-go, and it was like, yeah, we couldn't even bring out a winter collection because of this, and obviously the summer stuff has come late and it's going to be 10 times harder to sell. It's going to be, yeah, the marketing's going to go sky high because who's going to want to buy summer stuff in winter? The only other option was to obviously sell to Australia, but there was increasing costs there. Although we did sell some of the collection and it's still on the site now, but it's only started picking up back again recently because the warm weather. So that was just another hit that obviously went on, and we couldn't cancel the order before because it was already being made, and I was promised throughout this period like the money's going to be back there, and so in my head I was like, I'll get this money back, we'll get the summer collection in, it'll be a bit late but it wouldn't be too bad, but obviously stuff, and yeah, this just went on and on and on. So I started to get loads of messages from other people just through like Instagram, and someone got my number somehow and texted me. It was just like, do you know this guy? And I was like, yeah, I hope you've not been through the same situation I have. And funnily enough, some of them have been in that situation, but not as long as me. I think me and another guy have been in probably around the similar sort of time, and there's quite a few other people that have been waiting probably like 6 months, couple months, and yeah, there's just many other people that got affected by it. Yeah, so there were loads of other tricks that he played, and this narrative and new narratives came out, and this just went on and on and on. Like, there's only so much we could do, because I tried going down the legal route, trying pursuing that, but none of the assets against him were in his name. So on the agreement, the property that was on personally guaranteed wasn't his, and I just ended up spending thousands and thousands and basically getting nowhere, because it's like getting blood out of a stone, because there's nothing you can obviously take money from, or try and, the other next step was to make him bankrupt, but I didn't want to obviously do that and shoot myself in the foot again. So this kind of like made like a catch-22 situation where I obviously needed to try and recover the money, but there were certain things that I had to just stop and think, if I did this, would I then get the money back? And it was like, probably not. And I thought I exhausted all my options. There was stuff where we went round to his house, his parents' house, stuff like that, and it just got a bit too messy, if I'm honest. And I didn't want to keep doing that. It's not his family's fault or anything like that, but there's somewhere where you got to just draw the line. So this leads me on to the past couple of months, like 3 to 4 months, I'd say. It's like there was nothing we could do in the legal sort of side. We sort of exhaust every option. There's some funding in place that he was getting a loan against a property, but there's been a lot of complications since, and once again we're holding on and trying to see if this is going to come through. Probably not again, so I've pushed it to the back of my mind at the minute and trying to just focus on my stuff, because yeah, I'm just not going to get anywhere doing that, and it just kind of leads you down a bad spiral of waiting and holding on to something that's probably not even going to happen or come through. So just a few months ago decided to just put it to the back of my mind, because when you're thinking about it, it affects still a lot of money that's outstanding. So at the minute, that money is not going to probably even touch the surface to what damage has been done for the business. Like, you strip a business of cash flow for 8, 10, 12 months. It's been going on more than 12 months now. So although we have got some back in the process, like, it doesn't stop all the situations that have happened in between. Like the opportunity cost, the delays, the interest that's been added on to our bills because they haven't been paid on time. Yeah, so everything sort of recently spiraled out of control, and we're struggling to pay off suppliers. We just had to restructure a lot of things, but ultimately that didn't fix the root cause of the problem. And since the revenue had dropped a lot since last year, and the time leading up to it, it got to a point where we're sort of slowly declining all of our stock that we've got, and we can't pay for any new sort of collections to come out, and it's just like where do you go from here? Yeah, most recently I've just been getting in contact with loads of people, just trying to ask what we basically can do next. Some have been through like this situation before with their brand. Some have come out the other side, and some have unfortunately haven't. They've gone through administration, liquidation, and I was just going around and seeing what information I could get. Like, I've obviously never been through this process before. Should the worst come to happen, that I want to make sure I've got all the options available and I make an informed decision. Like, where in the past where I've made decisions quite impulsively, I need to look at every possible option I've got at the minute. Like, one of them is obviously an investor to come on board. The other one is to sell. The other one is administration, and the other one liquidation. But like, options that can go into that, like, it's not just one thing. Like liquidation, then that's it, you're not trading ever again. But because of these loans that I had, they were personally guaranteed. It puts a lot of complications into this now, because I'm personally obviously guaranteed into this funding. If I can't make it through the company, then it ultimately falls back on me. So it's just figuring out what options are best to move forwards now, and yeah, obviously trying to just look at every single one of them and figure out as much information as I can from different people, and yeah, make the best decision. I've still got a lot of calls to go through at the minute, and still some more people to speak to. Yeah, so currently not in the best sort of position. Say X amount of money could just fix all that straight away, and then would need obviously a few months to get the new collections in, restock certain items, but I'd say within 3 to 4 months you could quickly turn this around. But it just comes to a time where most recently I just have to make a decision, and I just can't leave it going on and on and on, expecting this money to come through that might not even come through. I have to try and detach my emotions from the situation that's going on. Obviously I've had this brand for more than 5 years now. Naturally I am emotionally attached to it because it was my first business. Yeah, it's been a brand since the start. I've not just drop shipped it and suddenly turned it into a brand. Like, it's been very hard going, and like to build a business stock base from scratch with no investors. Obviously you get to a point where, like we took on external funding, but it's in like a loan sort of basis where you pay it back. It's not like they're giving up equity and you get a certain amount where you don't have to then repay it. So like, if I do sell the brand, what stage is next, and what brand am I going to create? Like, I want to create another brand if I do eventually sell it. Part of me wants to also keep it because I've put in the past 5.5 years into this, and yeah, I've obviously I've gained some knowledge in this space, so I would like to continue on with it, but it's just deciding which way. Yeah, I'm just going to base the decision over the next couple of weeks and go from there. Like, if I was to go and sell the brand, I'm not going to get as much as what I wanted. Like, the ultimate goal for this was to sell it for, I don't know, 5-10 million down in the future. Ideal target was 10 mil, but yeah, it's a realization of that is not going to happen unless, yes, this situation is fixed. So yeah, so I'm ummed and ahed on whether to make this video and show some of this side, because obviously it's what I want to go through, and the last thing at this point in time is I want to be filming videos, but you don't see a lot of this side, especially on YouTube and in this sort of space, and be a very good sort of, yeah, it'll be very good to share the lessons and show the journey of this potential comeback. So I think that there's a lot of lessons that I've learned in the process, and if I could share that with the audience and share it with you guys, then it might help a few more people than obviously just myself, because it was a very daunting process coming into this, and I had to reach out to a lot of people to understand it, because there's a lot that goes into this, and yeah, it can get quite complicated, and it's a far from ideal situation. So the past few months have been extremely tough, because it's been like a slow realization to the inevitable, if that makes sense, of potentially I might either lose the business if one of these options doesn't pull through. And it's just like when you're waking up every day and working towards something that essentially might not go through, or you might not find the right partner, investor, someone might not buy the business, or I might have to start again from scratch, just in a new company. Like, it's been really tough to wake up every day and feel sort of motivated to work on the business. Like, at certain points in time, I just didn't want to get up and just lying in bed, and what's the point of even doing this anymore when 5 years worth of work has just gone within a few bad decisions. And yeah, what I had a few years ago, you sort of look back and think, why didn't I make the most of it? Why did I make those decisions? But it's only in hindsight, when you actually see it now, that you can, like, I wasn't in the right frame of mind when I made a lot of these decisions, and like, anyone can look back in hindsight and said, oh, I did this and I shouldn't have done that. But yeah, like, although this is a bad situation and nothing might come of this, but I've got to also look at the key lessons that have been learnt. And yeah, I'm still young, I'm still 24 now, so like, the worst case scenario, I still live with my parents, sold my car, like, I can still go back and build from scratch. But like, it does take a different sort of mentality to look at the situation where you've been working for 5 years on a project, on a brand business, and then for it to go tits up over a few bad decisions. Yeah, so I don't really want to be the sort of victim mentality. Like, this has happened. It took me a long while to just essentially get over it. But although it's still going on now, it's still like a small part in the back of my mind. I've just got to sort of move forwards now, and not knowing what that looks like in the future. Like, before this, I was on a decent trajectory. Like, you look back at previous pictures and yeah, got your dream car, and yeah, making decent amount of money, and yeah, and that can all sort of change within a year or two. And like, even though you say, if you are doing well now and you are flying high, then it'll only be 1 or 2 bad decisions and you're back on your arse again. So that's just made me realise as well, because before I was quite high risk with the decisions that I took. So although I took like quite a lot of high risk decisions in the start, and ultimately that led to where the business is at now, and I don't think I would have got this far if I didn't take those high risks. There's a certain stage in your career, once you accumulate sort of a certain amount of money and certain amount of where your brand gets to, like, those decisions have to be rethought about, and you need to obviously think about the potential consequences of those decisions. And I take full, obviously, responsibility for lending that money and all the different things that happened in between, the self-sabotage and stuff like that. Where am I going with this? I don't know. I think I'm a bit rambling on, but yeah, why am I making this video now and why am I sharing it? Like, I really didn't want to share it a few months ago. Like, I was just in this position where obviously everything was going on, and the last thing you want to do is pull out a camera and start filming and talking about all the problems that you have. The majority of it was just problems. Like, there wasn't much sort of good stuff that had come out of it apart from the lessons I'd learned. I want to just make the videos continue on from now, like essentially start from rock bottom and show how I'm gonna come back and make this situation into a positive and come back even stronger. And yeah, whether that's with this brand, with Sansparel that I've got now, or whether that's with another brand in the future. So yeah, I'm going to document that and show the ins and outs of that journey, like show that it can be done and it is possible. So even if you've lost everything, like, I have no spare 100k locked in the account somewhere, a random account. Like, there is no money that's going to randomly appear out the air and someone's going to give it me. So I've got to take what I've got at the minute, whatever I can find, whether I go back drop shipping, whether I do something else, try and build another brand. Not too sure, and it all depends on this current situation with the brand at the minute. What happens if I find an investor, if I sell it. If I do sell it, I'm not going to get exactly what I want, so I might walk away with not much. So yeah, it would just be a very good insight and I've accumulated all these skills throughout the years. So I'll just put them to use in another brand, start another brand, show that it can be done. Thank you for watching, and if this has been insightful, yeah, follow along the journey, and I'd appreciate if you subscribe, like, comment, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.